The first word, the space station above Gliese 12c, was quiet and beautiful. Lights from small ships blinked outside the glass windows like stars dancing in the dark. Inside the human embassy wing, Dr. Maya Rivers stood in front of a mirror, fixing her collar. Her hands were shaking. Today was her first real job as a xenolinguist, a specialist in alien languages. She was young, smart, and had trained for years. But nothing could prepare her for this moment. She took a deep breath and looked at the silver translator chip just behind her ear. It was new, experimental, and designed to work with the language of the Velari, an ancient alien race that spoke. With emotion, tone, and subtle body movement, her friend and fellow linguist, Haru Lin, stepped beside her. "You okay?" he asked gently. "I think so," she said. "Just nervous. One wrong word, and who knows what might happen." Haru smiled. "Relax. Just speak clearly. The translator will do the rest." Maya wasn't so sure. Velari culture was mysterious. They never smiled. They never lied. And they valued truth so deeply, even jokes were seen as disrespectful. The meeting room was large and quiet. 4 tall Velari stood on the far side of the table. Their skin was silver blue, smooth like glass. Their eyes were deep and dark like wells. With no bottom dot at the center stood Ambassador Kalser, a high-ranking Velari noble. He moved with slow, graceful steps, like a wind passing through still trees. Maya stepped forward and bowed as the translator chip buzzed lightly in her ear. "I bring peace," she said with a calm voice. "I am open to understanding your people." There was silence. The translator repeated her words in the Velari tongue, mix of musical tones and soft clicks. But something was wrong. Kalser's head tilted slightly. His eyes widened not, in anger, but surprise. The other Velari looked at each other with strange expressions. Then Kalser smiled. That smile was rare. Velari didn't smile unless it meant something deep, something life-changing. Maya's heart skipped a beat. Kalser stepped forward and spoke softly. The translator whispered the meaning in her ear. "Then the bond is accepted." Maya froze. What bond?" The ambassador extended his hand and placed 2 fingers gently on Maya's wrist. The touch was soft, respectful, but final. "You are now my chosen," he said. Panic hit her like cold water. Haru stepped forward quickly. "Excuse me, Ambassador. There may be an error in translation." Kalser raised his hand. "There is no error." Her words were clear, her heart open. Maya felt dizzy. She turned to Haru. "What did I say exactly?" He checked his datapad, then stared at her in horror. "Maya, the phrase 'I am open' in Velari speech, it means," he lowered his voice, "it means you accept a life bond, a soul union. It's like marriage, sacred and unbreakable." "No, Maya whispered. "No, that's not what I meant." Kelser stepped back, but his smile didn't fade. "Our elders will prepare the ceremony," he said. "Tonight, under the twin moons." And then he left the room, followed by the other Velari. The doors closed. Maya dropped into a chair, her hands shaking. "I've ruined everything," she whispered. Haru sat beside her. "We can fix this. We'll talk to the diplomats, explain the mistake. Maybe they'll understand." But Maya knew better. The Velari didn't believe in mistakes. They believed in intention. And according to them. She had just promised herself to a stranger from another world. That night, her door buzzed. Maya didn't answer. She sat on her bed, wrapped in a blanket, her mind racing. Then she heard a voice from outside the door. Calm, gentle. "Dr. Rivers, it is Kay Shan. I was sent by the council. I am here to protect you." She didn't move. "Do not fear," he said. You are not alone now. Asterisk the night shift Maya didn't sleep. The room was too quiet. The shadows too long. And her mind, full of spinning thoughts she couldn't stop. She had made one small mistake, said one word, and now she was being pulled into a sacred, alien ritual she didn't understand. Outside her room, 2 Velari guards stood silently, tall, still, watching. They weren't there to hurt her, but they weren't letting her leave. Inside, Maya sat cross-legged on the floor, her eyes locked on her translator chip's readout. I am open. Gives. I accept sacred union of the soul. She read the line over and over. Why didn't the chip warn me? She muttered. Her fingers trembled as she tapped the interface. The system hadn't glitched. It had done its job. Too well. It had picked the most accurate phrase, but not the one she meant. A soft chime broke the silence. Her door opened slightly, and someone stepped in. It wasn't Kelser. It was a different Velari, younger, with softer eyes and silver armor shaped like leaves. He stood just inside the doorway and bowed his head. I am Keishan, he said, assigned protector to the chosen. Maya stood up slowly. I think there's been a mistake. Keishan's voice was calm. In Velari law, there are no mistakes, only truth misunderstood. She stepped back. I didn't mean to bond with anyone. He tilted his head, studying her. You said you were open. You met the ambassador's gaze. You accepted his touch. To us. That is sacred. Maya shook her head. To us humans, it's not. Not like that. Keishan walked forward 2 steps, then stopped. I believe you, he said. That surprised her. Then why are you here? To protect your honor, he replied. Others may test your worth. If the bond is challenged, they can demand trial. Trial? She asked. He nodded. Combat, blood, fire. That is the way of the older clans. Maya felt the floor tilt under her feet. You mean, if someone doesn't like that I'm chosen, they'll fight over me? Yes, he said. Some already prepare. That night, Haru snuck into her room using a maintenance access. Panel. He looked tired, sweaty, but alive. Maya, he whispered, the Velari aren't just talking about ceremony. They're preparing for a full ritual one that's broadcast across the entire Confederation. Maya stared at him. You mean, they want to show this to the galaxy? Yes, Haru said. It's rare. It's huge. No human has ever been chosen by a Velari before. You're not just bonded, you're now a symbol. Of what? Of peace, of unity, of everything we haven't earned yet. She didn't want any of it. She just wanted to go home. Maya paced the room while Keishan watched silently from the corner. At last, she turned to him. Can I speak with Kelser? She asked. Explain what happened. Kajan gave a slow nod. Yes, but if you say the wrong thing again, he may take it as rejection. Rejection before union is an insult. What happens then? Keishan's voice dropped. Then, the right becomes a hunt. At midnight, Maya sat on her bed, staring out the window. The twin moons of Gliese 12c shone like pale lanterns. The stars looked cold, distant, silent. Haru had left. Kajan stayed. He hadn't spoken in an hour. Just stood near the door like a silent statue. Finally, Maya spoke. Why are you really here, Keishan? He turned his head slowly. Because I heard your voice. I studied human speech. You did not know what you said. Then help me undo it, she begged. Kashin looked away. I can't. Why not? His answer came after a long pause. Because now that you've spoken, others have heard. There are those who want you. For reasons not as noble as Kelser. Maya's chest tightened. Like who? Keishan's voice was low, sharp, The blood clans, they are already coming. To test the human who dared to speak the word. Of bonding. Outside the window, 3 long shadow ships broke orbit and moved closer to the station. Maya didn't know their names yet, but she would dot by morning. The galaxy would know hers too. Asterisk. The cultural trap the next morning came with red warning lights. Maya woke to the soft alarm pulsing across the station's walls. It wasn't a full lockdown, but it was close. She rubbed her eyes and looked around. Shan was still there, standing like he hadn't moved all night. "What's happening?" she asked. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he touched a thin device on his wrist. A small image appeared, a hologram of 3 Velari warships now parked outside the space station. Blood clans, Kajan said at last. They arrived early. Maya was rushed to the secure room inside the human embassy. Haru met her there, looking worried. "We have a big problem," he said. She sighed. "Bigger than accidentally marrying an alien ambassador?" Haru didn't smile. "Yes, much bigger. The translator chip recorded everything, and now it's gone viral." He turned on the screen. Maya watched in shock as a video played. It showed her saying the words, "I am open." Then it showed Kelser response. "Then the bond is accepted." But the video didn't stop there. It showed Velari priests preparing silken robes. It showed entire cities celebrating the first union between Earth and the Flame Guard. Across Velari space, they were calling her the first Flame Bride. Maya sank into a chair, her voice trembling. "This is madness." "I said one word, just one." Haru nodded. "But you said it with the right emotion. And to them, emotion is everything." The chip worked too well. It translated not only your words, but your heart. Maya looked down. "I was just trying to show respect." "Respect is sacred in their language," Haru said. "It's a weapon, a promise, a trigger." That day, human diplomats tried to speak with the Velari Council. They offered explanations, apologies, even offers of canceling the treaty. But the Velari refused. "The bond has been made," the council speaker said. "To break it now would bring shame. And shame brings challenge. A challenge, in Velari law, meant duel. And Velari duels weren't small. They were watched by millions. And ended in blood. Maya stood near the viewing window, staring at the dark ships beyond. She felt like a prisoner inside a trap she didn't build. Kashan walked up behind her. "They are calling for a trial," he said. "Trial for what?" she asked. "For your right to remain bonded." "Or not?" She turned toward him. "And what happens if I say no? What if I walk away?" He didn't blink. "Then they will fight to claim you." Her mouth went dry. "You mean I become a prize?" He looked away. "Yes, but I would not allow that." His words were calm, but she could feel the weight behind them. Later that evening, Maya met with the station's top human advisor, Ambassador Rachel Crane. A strong, sharp woman with gray streaks in her hair and no time for nonsense. Rachel leaned over the table and said in a flat voice, "You need to understand something. Maya, you're not just a person anymore. You're a symbol. I didn't ask to be. I know, but that doesn't change the fact. Right now, millions of Velari believe in this bond. If you reject it, you insult their entire belief system. If you accept it, you become a bridge." Maya looked at her hands. "So what am I supposed to do? Marry someone I barely know?" Rachel didn't answer, because in truth, there wasn't a right answer. That night, Maya sat in silence while Kayshawn stood guard. But this time, he spoke. "You are strong," he said. "But strength alone is not enough. You must decide what kind of voice you want the galaxy to hear." She turned to him. "What if I say I want my own voice back? What if I want this to stop?" Kai-Shan stepped forward and knelt. "And I will help you escape, even if it costs me everything." Maya stared at him. "You'd do that?" He nodded. "Because truth is more than words. It is what we choose to protect." A message arrived. On her datapad, encrypted, hidden dot from Haru. One line only. "They're listening. Don't say anything out loud. Even now, the walls have ears." Maya looked up. Kai-Shan was watching her, but was he friend? Or part of the trap? Asterisk the warning. 3 hours passed. Maya sat alone in her quarters. The lights dimmed. The air felt heavier. No, not because of gravity, but because of pressure. Political, personal, dangerous. Kashin stood near the door, as always. Silent, unblinking, watching, but now Maya wasn't sure if he was her protector or her shadow. She tapped her datapad slowly, carefully, pretending to check updates. But really, she was looking for more encrypted messages from Haru dot. Nothing dot, and the door buzzed. Maya jumped. Kai-Shan didn't move. The door opened, and Ambassador Rachel Crane stepped inside quickly. Eyes sharp. "We have a situation," she said in a low voice. "And it's not just about marriage anymore." Maya stood. "What do you mean?" Rachel handed her a small device. It showed a live feed news from a Velari channel. A council member was speaking to a crowd of thousands. "The human woman has accepted our bond, but others seek to claim her. If she is taken by force, it will mean war with Earth." Rachel's eyes met Maya's. "This isn't about love or mistake anymore. You're now the thread holding two powers apart. If it breaks, everything burns." Outside the station, more ships arrived. Not just Velari 1's military vessels from neutral systems. Worried that conflict would spill across sectors. Inside the walls, human security tightened. Every hallway now had 2 guards. Every meeting had eyes and ears watching. Later that night, Kai-Shan finally spoke. "There is something I must show you." Maya hesitated, but something in his voice felt different. She nodded. He led her through a private service tunnel hidden between the outer walls of the station. No guards, no cameras. Just cold metal and quiet steps. They entered a small chamber. It was old, unused. From the original construction of the station, Kai-Shan placed a glowing stone on the floor. It lit the room with soft blue light. "I'm not here for tradition," he said at last. "I'm here because I saw your eyes. When you spoke that word, you didn't understand it. But you meant peace. You meant kindness. That is rare." Maya said nothing. Then Kai-Shan pulled something from his armor, a small chip. The same kind she wore behind her ear. "This is a different translator," he said. "It is made by my people. It does not twist emotions. It only speaks what is heard." "Why? Are you showing me this?" she asked. "Because I want you to speak again. But this time, freely, without the trap of machines." She took the chip. It felt warm in her hand. Koshin looked her in the eyes. "There's more," he said. "The Blood Clans plan to challenge you at sunrise. If you do not stand in the circle, they will declare Earth dishonorable. That declaration allows them to attack human stations near Velari borders." Maya's throat went dry. "You're saying they're using this to start a war?" He nodded once. "Yes, they don't want peace. They want an excuse." Suddenly, Maya saw the truth. This wasn't just a mistake in words. It was a cultural trap built long ago, waiting for someone like her to fall into it. One word had started it. Now, one more word could end it, but only if spoken carefully. Only if it came from her heart, and not from a broken machine. Later, back in her room, Maya placed the alien translator chip behind her ear. It clicked softly into place. Kai-Shan knelt before her. "I cannot fight for you in the circle. he said. Only you can speak your truth. And if they challenge, I won't fight, she said. But I will speak, and I'll speak clearly this time. He looked up. Then the stars may yet change. At dawn, she stood inside the ceremonial chamber. Cameras floated silently in the air, watching, recording. Across from her, 3 members of the Blood Clan stood tall, armored, proud. They expected a fight. They expected a human to kneel or run. But Maya stood tall. And then she spoke not through the human translator, but through the Velari one Kashan gave her. I did not understand your word, but I meant no shame, only peace. If that is not enough, and take my name, not my people. The room went still. The Velari leader blinked, then bowed his head. Your word has been heard, and it has weight. Back in her quarters, hours later, Maya sat by the window again. She still didn't know if the danger had passed, but for the first time since this began, she felt like the voice inside her belonged to her again. Asterisk. The escape planned the day after the challenge. Peace returned. On the outside, the Velari blood clans left without a fight. The statement Maya made in the ceremony had touched many, but not all. Some still whispered that she was dangerous. Others believed she was clever. And cleverness, in Velari culture, could be either sacred or shameful. But the eyes had not left her. Everywhere she walked, someone was watching. Ambassador Rachel Crane met Maya in a quiet garden chamber. The air smelled like metal and sweet moss, and lights from the distant star pulsed through the glass above them. You did well, Rachel said. You bought us time. Maya kept her eyes on the ground, but not safety. Rachel nodded. You're right. The blood clans are quiet, but they don't forget. And neither does Kelser. Maya's heart jumped at the name. Kelser hadn't spoken to her since the bonding ceremony. No messages. No visits. He had simply vanished. But not truly. He was the ambassador, the symbol. And to the Velari, he had already claimed her. That night, Haru returned with a plan. You need to disappear, he whispered. Not run. Disappear. In Velari tradition, if a bonded partner is taken by the void, gone with no trace, then the bond becomes legend. Not broken, but remembered. Maya blinked. Legend? Like a love that ended with the stars. A beautiful loss. No shame. Kajian listened quietly from the corner. And if we're caught? Maya asked. Haru looked pale. Then Earth pays for your betrayal. Every station, every diplomat. This could start a war. Kajian spoke at last. There is one. Way. A forerunner gate buried deep below the station. Long ago, the Velari built over it. Now it's sealed. Forgotten, but not lost. He looked at Maya. I can take you there. But once we pass through, there is no return. She swallowed hard. Where does it lead? Kaishan tilted his head slightly. No one knows. That is why it is perfect. At midnight, Maya packed. Only what she could carry. A scarf, a datapad, a tiny photo of her brother back on Mars. Kashin wore no armor. Only a cloak and a hidden pulse knife. Haru handed Maya a chip. It wipes your records, station logs, ID traces, DNA patterns. You'll vanish in seconds. They moved quietly through the service tunnels, deeper than before. The air grew colder. The walls, older dirt and stone, now replacing metal. Maya walked behind Kashan, her boots echoing in the dark. Then she saw it. A circular doorway stood before them, covered in roots. Symbols glowed faintly around its edge. It was beautiful and terrifying. Kaishan pressed his hand to a panel. The gate HUMMED. Lights circled the frame. The air changed like standing too close to lightning. Maya stepped back. I don't even know what's on the other side. Kei-Shan turned. Neither. Do one, but I will go with you. You'd leave your people? She asked. I already did, he said softly. When I chose to believe your heart instead of your words. Suddenly, a sound echoed behind them. That footsteps, that fast, that har you cursed. They followed me. I'm sorry, go now. Maya grabbed Kei-Shan's hand. They stepped toward the gate. A voice called out in the distance Velari warriors, shouting. Too late. The gate lit up, a spiral of blue and white. Maya took a deep breath and jumped. The moment they crossed, the noise vanished. They landed on soft earth. Red grass. A purple sky. Strange birds flew overhead, glowing faintly. Kashan stood beside her, still holding her hand. He looked around slowly. It's untouched, he whispered. This place is wild, pure. Maya turned to him. So what now? He looked at her, not as protector, not as warrior, but as equal. Now, he said, we write a story they will never understand. Back on the station, Ambassador Crane watched the empty room they left behind. The only message found in Maya's quarters was a handwritten note. This wasn't betrayal. This was freedom. And across the stars, the legend of the flame ride who vanished into starlight became sacred. No war came. Only silence and stories. Asterisk. That night changed everything years past, but the story of Maya Rivers did not fade. In Velari space, they still whispered her name, the flame ride. Some said she crossed into the spirit realm with her chosen. Others believed she became a star. No one ever saw her again, but the truth was stranger and deeper. Maya and Kei-Shan had built a life on the other side of the gate. The world was quiet, wild, filled with strange plants and animals. No cities, no people, no rules. At first, they struggled. The nights were cold. The sky had 3 moons and no familiar stars. But slowly, they learned. Kashan built shelters from stone and root. Maya studied the patterns in the wind and sky. Together, they formed a bond that wasn't made from mistaken words, but from shared silence, effort, and trust. One evening, under a silver moon, Maya stood near a waterfall. Her hair was longer now, her eyes calmer. She placed her hand on Kashan's chest and said quietly, I know what I am open really means now. He smiled. So do I. And in that moment, the words were not a mistake. They were a promise. Back in known space, something had changed. After the disappearance, the Velari rewrote their translation laws. No more emotion-based auto-translators. All diplomats were now trained in true listening, not just with ears, but with heart and intent. Humans were no longer seen as naive or clumsy. They were seen as dangerous in silence and powerful in truth. New terms spread across star systems based on Maya's error, riverspeak. It meant a word that says one thing but means something deeper and stronger. It was added to galactic dictionaries. Years later, a child stepped through the old Forerunner gate. Human, curious, brave. She found Maya sitting under a tree, hair silver now, reading an old Earth book. The child asked, Are you the one who got lost in the stars? Maya smiled. No, I'm the one who found something better than stars. The child tilted her head. What's that? Maya closed the book and pointed to the sky. A voice that was finally mine. That night had changed everything. It changed how words were spoken. It changed how cultures listened. It changed how truth was seen, not as perfect, but as something you build together, and far beyond the stars. Where 2 souls once stood in a circle of fire and misunderstanding, they built a world of their own with no translation needed. Asterisk.